Meanwhile, in America, something was going on which I can't ignore any longer in this programme, try as I might for my own mental well-being. Cue nightmarish dystopian news footage.
Enemies of freedom, face the music, come on boys, take them down. President Donald Trump knows how to make America great. Deal from strength or get crushed every time.
Yes, news coverage was increasingly dominated by retiring wallflower Donald J. Trump.
Who's gonna pay for the wall? Who?
Trump seemed completely unelectable, as the news made clear he'd been rude about Mexicans, rude about Muslims, and even rude about a disabled reporter.
You gotta see this guy. I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
The Republicans had plenty of other contenders who on the news looked like the kind of president you get in movies. Yet here they were, being thrashed by a man who resembles a cling film parcel of frankfurter meat that's been kicked through a yellow cobweb.
How tough is it to take
times,
property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet.
Some fought back in equally childish fashion. Marco Rubio was all over the networks mocking Trump's hand size.
And you know what they say about men with small hands?
Trump wasn't taking that shit, and in unprecedented scenes he was soon bragging about the size of his knob on live television.
He referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.
I suppose it's refreshing, really, for a potential president to be this candid. I mean, we don't know how big other presidents' penises have been because Mount Rushmore stops at the neck. Sad vampire Ted Cruz was now Trump's final target. Mad Donkey Trump immediately set about trolling the shit out of him, first by tweeting an unflattering photo of Cruz's wife.
I don't get angry often, but you mess with my wife, you mess with my kids, that'll do it every time. Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone.
Feisty scenes, and there was equally tetchy coverage when Trump slagged off Cruz's dad.
Donald Trump alleges that my dad was involved in assassinating JFK.
Lee Harvey Oswald's son there, whining like a snowflake cuck. At first, the media seemed to find all of this wryly amusing, smirking throughout Trump's ascent like they were watching an adorable toddler playing with a power tool without apparently considering that he might just learn how to switch it on. Trump was increasingly unstoppable, and even he seemed surprised, speaking here at a televised event where he embraced the host and then mimed he was a wanker.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay?
Only if it's someone Putin wants you to shoot. Meanwhile, in America, Trump and Clinton had become the official candidates of their respective parties. The standout moment of the Democratic convention was a moving speech from the Muslim parents of a fallen soldier, scolding Trump for his comments on Muslims.
Donald Trump, have you even read the United States Constitution? I will gladly lend you my copy.
Has it got pictures in it? Because if not, I'll level with you. I don't think he'll bother. Trump responded by belittling the cons in a shocking interview.
If you look at his wife, she was standing there, she had nothing to say, maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say, you tell me.
Traditionally in America, attacking grieving families is about as big a vote winner as wiping your bum on a live baby. Then in a startling televised speech, he said this.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS.
What, sorry, what, of ISIS?
He's the founder of ISIS.
What, you mean metaphorically, or?
He founded ISIS.
Oh, right, you actually mean this mental stuff your mouth is saying. By now, Trump was conducting a voyage to the bottom of the sea in polling terms, but then disaster struck for Hillary as she caught pneumonia, and alarming footage emerged of her apparently almost collapsing into her car. No, I'm not taking her, mate, not in that state. 50 quid cleaning charge. Soon Trump enjoyed a sizable bounce in the polls, so all eyes were trained anxiously on the first debate. But Trump's performance was underwhelming, something he blamed on his microphone, which had undermined him by accurately conveying everything he'd said.
No wonder you've been fighting ISIS your entire adult life.
Folks, go to the fact checkers.
And he was about to have even worse luck with mics.
Donald Trump was doing really well in his campaign, like he hadn't put a foot wrong, and then suddenly this video came out that put him in a totally new light, and he didn't seem as nice as you thought he was when he was just shouting about Muslims and Mexicans.
You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the pussy.
The bloke he'd said this stuff to was this sort of snickering gimp boy called Billy Bush, and everyone was so disgusted with him, he got fired.
The NBC TV network has sacked Billy Bush as host of the Today Show.
But there was literally nothing anyone could do to punish Donald Trump. They had literally no choice but to go ahead and vote for him.
After the tape appeared, all these women came out to say he'd done creepy things to them too. But there wasn't really any evidence that he'd actually do stuff like that, apart from the recording of him saying he did. And that was just his word against his.
A whole slew of Republican congressmen and women, senators, others have come out today saying that Donald Trump should stand down.
Well, there's no coming back from this. Trump's had it. H-A-D-D-I-T had it. But he hadn't. As a street-fighting carnival strongman, Trump operates the Chicago way. You pull a knife, he pulls a gun. You send one of his to the hospital, he sends one of yours to the morgue. And whenever an accusation was flung at him, he hit back twice as hard, with his little hands. Sure enough, just before the second debate, Trump arranged a press event conference full of women claiming Bill Clinton was a sex monster and rapist. Yeah, you know, it was around here the background giggles had really drained out of the campaign. The whole thing was depressing and gruelling, and as the second debate opened, as the news noted, the mood was incredibly sour.
For the first time ever in a presidential debate, not even a suggestion of a handshake.
That's odd. Trump's normally keen to shake hands. I've seen the tape.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Throughout the debate, a glowering Trump followed Clinton around like a terracotta stalker.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
It was another negative performance with yet more bad consequences for the Donald.
Paul Ryan has effectively, on a call with other Republican leaders, pulled the plug on Donald Trump.
Oh, well, he's super finished now. I mean, he was finished before, but now he's Harambe finished. We can all rest easy. Mark my words, Donald Trump will never, ever, ever be president. Do you remember a few years ago when people described absolutely everything as meh? Everywhere you'd look on the internet, there it was, meh, a big bored shrug. We moaned that everything was sort of mediocre and bland. Not anymore. No, now everything's either shit or brilliant and there's no in between and everyone's furious. Stick your head in the internet now and it's like a f***ing screaming convention. Black ants versus red ants. It's as if everyone's been radicalised. And therefore, in Brexit Britain, you're either a knuckle-dragging racist or a metropolitan elitist. Those are the only two roles available. Sorry. But we know those are caricatures. Out here, away from the fantasy hellscape that lives in here, most of us are bland and meh and reasonable. And I miss it. I miss meh. How did we get so polarised? Well, some people say it's thanks to the bubble. Not a nice bubble, like in an aero, but a bad bubble that goes round your brain and stops new ideas getting in. The echo chamber. Echo chamber. Echo chamber. Echo chamber. Eventually, the bubbles around people got so big they needed their own news services so the people trapped inside could keep up with the sort of stuff they'd like to imagine was happening outside. This fake news was miles better than normal news. I mean, if you tell me that Hillary Clinton's been a bit hypocritical about the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, I wouldn't even hear the end of the sentence. It's so boring, I'd just be looking at your teeth and judging you. But if you say she's part of a pedo ring based in a pizza restaurant, I'll remember that forever. Speaking of which, let's head back to America. Polling day had arrived in the USA, and despite a last-minute setback for Clinton over emails, all the polls indicated she was set for victory. And not just in the opinion polls, the general feeling was good too. All the experts agreed she had it in the bag.
Clinton probably will be the United States' next president.
It's basically a done deal. No point staying up to watch even. I mean, imagine if Trump did win. Shows like this would be pointless. People like me would be out of a job anyway. I'd be yesterday's prick. Anyway, I'll see you in the morning. Oh, that's better. Oh, I slept like a baby. I think I'll just put the news on and watch Hillary's victory speech.
Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States. What started off as unlikely, impossible, is now reality. He said he was always a winner. This did not come without controversy. Beginning on January 20th, 2017, Americans will experience government incompetence like they have never,
ever seen. No tolerance, no sympathy, no decency. It's me. I'm sorry, Miss Clinton. This is for real. And it turned out to be a massive surprise, even though I told 1 trillion lies. I'm sorry, Miss Clinton. This is for real. And by the way, let this be a warning. I do not believe in global warming. The damage and devastation that can be inflicted by my administration is an international humiliation. And although I put America first in our nation, the integration situation is worse. Decades of progress are being reversed. I will be one of the worst presidents ever, never, ever before has our country had a president as bad as me. You know, I might not be politically correct, but I will be politically inept. This political stuff is nasty. Some of our big supporters are Nazis.
Hail Trump!
USA.
As December arrived, the world grappled with the notion that despite losing the popular vote by several million, the man who'd bragged about grabbing women by the pussy was about to get his finger on the red button. As the news expertly relayed footage of furious protests, there were initially confusing signals from the president-elect, as he seemed to row back on some of his pre-election promises. Perhaps most shocking of all, having said he'd be tough on terrorism, he met with the founder of ISIS and even shook his hand. The unpredicted Donald was also spewing angry tweets and stuffing his administration with hardliners. Many feared Trump might now pursue a white supremacist agenda, although from the looks of him, it's going to be more of a tangerine supremacist agenda. So-called outsider Trump also appointed generals and corporate CEOs to major positions, including a guy with links to Putin. This was especially eye-opening as the CIA was claiming Russian hackers had deliberately aided Trump's ascent, something Trump himself was eager to jump in front of the news cameras to poo-poo.
Once they hack, if you don't catch them in the act, you're not going to catch them. They have no idea if it's Russia or China or somebody. It could be somebody sitting in a bed someplace.
Yeah, they could be anywhere in the world. I mean, Moscow, Vladivostok, St. Petersburg, we'll probably never know.